Come on, bitch, let's go. Come on, get ready, bitches. You haven't seen nothing yet. Come on.
Valentino, Versace, Lamborghini, Bugatti. I got money to burn. I'm single and I'm naughty.
Come on.
Tiffany's, Cartier, Gucci, Armani.
Come on.
Break out your black card, boys. It's time to party.
Hi, you guys. I missed you so much. It's been, 10 days since the last pod because I dropped the one that I dropped last week early for all of your benefit. I think I dropped it Thursday instead of Sunday. So here I am to do two things with you guys today. The first part of today's show is going to be some New Jersey tea that is going to become really important with the Real Housewives of New Jersey finale episode that's dropping tonight. I got some really juicy stuff to share with you guys that I think is pretty exclusive, actually. And then I'm going to move on and we're going to invite a woman named Cindy who's gone viral a few times to do the genealogy of some Bravo celebrities, okay, including me, actually. And of course, we're looking for the juicy stuff, right? So she found out, for example, that there's some very famous celebrities that are related to serial killers. I'm going to play you a soundbite from Cindy's TikTok, which is DNA Mystery Solver. This one in particular went viral. And I'm playing this for you to get you excited for the second half of the show because it's going to be great.
Wouldn't it be funny if serial killer Israel Keys was like related to a bunch of serial killers? Because he is. That's right. Homie G over here descends from 4 Mayflower families. He descends from Isaac Allerton, Degori Priest, Francis Eaton, and Edward Doty. And let's have a look at who he's related to. Check this out. His cousins happen to be H.H. Holmes, Holly Crippen, Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, Joseph D'Angelo, Dennis Rader. Down here we got Kraft, Randy Kraft, and Douglas Clark. Oh my, he's actually related to a lot more than that. That's just through these 4 lines. He is related to all sorts of serial killers. I wonder if his crimes match any of those homies. Or perhaps it's through another ancestor that he shares more. I'm trying to find the connections. What is up with the way they did it and who they're tied to? Know what I mean?
And we do cover Andy Cohen's genealogy a little and some New Jersey housewives. And you'll see a lot of really fun insights you're going to get. I do Tamra Judge. We do, oh gosh, there's a bunch. Okay. Teresa, Melissa. And it turns out that in Teresa Giudice's and Melissa Gorga's genealogy, it kind of explains why today in 2024, based on their genealogy, loosely, of course, their feud exists. It's so interesting, and you're going to really get excited by today's show. But before we get into that fun, which is going to be a little bit of a lighter side, I think we all need that, especially with the heaviness of tonight's episode, I am going to drop a bunch of gossip about Real Housewives of New Jersey. So get ready, get excited. I am, and let's have some fun.
Come on, bitch, let's go.
So let's start with this tea that came out in OK Magazine that kind of got all the New Jersey people freaking out. I'm going to read you part of it. As you guys know, Danielle Cabral threw a glass pitcher at Jennifer, the source stated, reaffirming the information OK had already divulged. According to the insider, for some reason, the action of Danielle Cabral actually throwing the glass pitcher at Jen was cut. You still see glass on the floor, and there's obviously a ton of tension in the room, but the scene doesn't make complete sense and no one completely understands what caused it to be there. The cast was dumbfounded when they were brought together to see the finale at Rails and discuss it, the source dished. None of them understood why the scene would have been cut. It was completely violent, insane outburst, and fans should truly get to see it in order to fully grasp the severity of the situation and what happened. It is odd that Bravo would decide not to show this particular scene. Okay, this is definitely coming from Jennifer Aydin. I'm calling it to OK Magazine. She's the source. No one is 100% certain why they cut this part, the source noted. But everyone has their theories. Some people think it could be a legal issue, the insider shared, while others think it's to protect Danielle. Yeah, I think it's probably to protect Danielle. No one knows what is going to go on with the cast next season, they elaborated, talking about the fact that Real Housewives of New Jersey is reportedly due for a cast shakeup after the canceled reunion and unsolvable cast divide. So if you take this article and then you add to this article Gabriella's text messages with Jennifer Aydin that happened. I'm going to read them to you now. So Gabriella, in case you guys are tuning in for the first time, is a influencer who at one point worked for Teresa Giudice as a soldier to get her narrative out. And Jen Aydin also joined in on this. And so Gabriella's job was to really tell a strong story about whatever Jennifer Aydin and Teresa Giudice wanted to get the fans on side with the narrative that they liked. And also later she did, in an official capacity, Namaste Bitches social media account to get attention for the show. She's excellent at that kind of work. And so Jennifer Aydin and her were having numerous text messages about this type of thing, as well as Teresa, by the way, with Gabriella on the DL. And in one of these conversations, Jennifer Aydin goes into detail as she's venting about this scene with Gabriella against Danielle, and she says the following. This is Jennifer Aydin, Wednesday, October 25th, 2023, to Gabriella. Hey, we're filming the finale today. Any verified information on Danielle Cabral about why she doesn't speak to her family? Because she was asking for Gabriella to find out dirt and slip into the family's DMs and get that intel so she could use it in the finale against Danielle Cabral. And then Jenna Aydin said, she did pick up the pitcher to throw it at me. I just believe it slipped through her hands, and when she chucked it towards me, everything in front of me fell on top of my hair and my outfit. And then, of course, there's this whole thing where Jen Aydin says Danielle Cabral kick her out of the room, and Danielle's like, I'm not going. And, this is what happens with the producers and everything on the side. Now, something that's been going around, which has become a big issue for the fans, is whether or not this pitcher was plastic or glass. And I think I didn't even realize the importance of this to people until, recently. So just so you know what I heard from a person who worked at Rails that in this case, the pitcher that dropped out of Danielle Cabral's hands due to condensation was actually plastic, because the producers had put the pitchers of water with lemon in their own pitchers and not the ones that the restaurant uses on the table when they set up the scene at Rails, and they kind of decorated it for the show, because it was at that point, it's kind of a set. And if you remember, I've covered in my bonus audios other examples of this. So I spoke to one of the nail technicians that's on a famous old scene in Real Housewives of New Jersey where Teresa Giudice goes and she gets her nails done, and she realizes that the nail technician has lost her mother. And Teresa's really bonds with this nail technician over the fact that she lost her mom and how she's suffering with this loss too. And it's a moment. Anyway, I ended up talking to that nail technician, and she told me that they redid the whole room. It was not at all like it normally is when the nails are getting done, when you just go to this New Jersey hotspot for, hair and nails and all that, right? So they just redid it exactly for what they needed for the show. And so they did the same thing for Rails. And so the pictures that normally are used at Rails are not being used in this scene. Producer version ones are. And in fact, there was a rumor that one of the producers said after this all went down, thank God we changed the pictures to plastic, because it would have been a really big disaster. Now, there's allegedly glass on the floor that we see broken. And so I don't know if that glass came from the actual glasses the women were drinking out of that maybe fell on the floor when the pitcher slipped out of Danielle's hand. And so, that's maybe why they didn't want to show that part or what. But, there's that. So here's the thing, right? Danielle shouldn't have thrown the pitcher in the first place. But we'll never know what her intention with this pitcher was. Was it really to throw it at Jen Aydin, or was it to throw it somewhere else in the room? We really won't know. Okay? But definitely Danielle shouldn't be throwing shit. Period. Even though it's great TV, especially in the current climate at Bravo and NBC with the lawsuit. Now, that said, if she did intend to hit Jen Aydin, that's way out of line. But it wasn't a glass pitcher. It was a plastic pitcher based on this gossip. And I did hear that someone in the restaurant confirmed that production did indeed switch out the pitchers for a plastic one. So maybe Danielle was like, the cup, it won't hurt Jennifer Aiden if I throw it over there because it's plastic. But to be honest, I don't think that's a cop-out too. I don't think Danielle should have thrown a plastic pitcher because it could still hurt somebody. Now, I think Bravo's protecting Danielle, and that's it. So you guys can contemplate that for what you want on this one, but I wanted to tell you guys that is a dispute that's going on amongst the fans and spill as much tea as I could on it. So if you go to Dana Wilkie's Decadish YouTube channel, you will find that I did a video a few days ago that has ghosting in the title of it. And that video covered the fact that Vanessa met with Jackie Goldschneider at her house to spill tea about Louis Ruelas. And I just wanted to spill some additional tea about that meeting, which I didn't spill in that video. And that is that Jackie Goldschneider ended up telling Teresa Giudice on that day that Vanessa 2.0, or Vanessa Moretta, had said that she was living with Louis Ruelas when Teresa Giudice met him on Bay Boulevard in the Shore. And so Teresa Giudice took this all in from Jackie and then was like, I don't care. Essentially, that Louis Ruelas was with another woman at the time, probably because she said, at this point, she's thinking it's moot point anyway. She wasn't going to dump Louis over that, right? So she did know, though. So I just wanted you guys to know that Teresa did know that Louis was living with Vanessa 2.0 when he bumped into Teresa Giudice on Bay Boulevard and then ghosted Vanessa 2.0 and never spoke to her again. It was so weird, and went to his other house in New Jersey and then started a whole love affair with Teresa Giudice. So just a little missing data I wanted to share on that front. Also, as you probably figured out, Jackie Goldschneider has a conversation with Teresa Giudice where she admits everything to Teresa, that she met with Vanessa and that, she begs for Teresa Giudice's forgiveness and Teresa offers to accept it. I think for selfish reasons, to get the tea that was spilled, to Jackie Goldschneider by Vanessa for her purposes, whether that be legal or otherwise. I think the whole purpose for Teresa and Jennifer Aiden in befriending Jackie Goldschneider was to try to get information on what was sent to her by Vanessa or said to her by Vanessa. And I don't believe that Jackie would actually do that beyond high-level stuff, because I think Jackie's an attorney and she probably wouldn't want to risk that kind of liability, right? Even though she wasn't representing Vanessa, there's sort of a code of ethics when you're an attorney or a judge or something that you're supposed to kind of follow in your daily life, not just for people that are your clients. So I just don't think that she would have gone that far. But Teresa and Jennifer were going to try to get whatever they could get from her. So now you really know why they became friends with Jackie Goldschneider. And yeah, since they became friends, they said they were using her in the beginning, and they came clean on Watch What Happens Live and said, yeah, we were using her, but now we're really friends. Yeah, I don't believe that there is such a thing as really friends on these franchises ever. Everybody's using everybody, including Jennifer and Teresa, using each other. And believe me, if at any point it doesn't suit them to be supporting each other, they won't. That's the way it goes. The TV show trumps everything. Fame trumps everything. Now, a bunch of you guys reached out to me and asked me, what was that written letter that was in court documents where Louis Ruelas seems to be writing a letter about how awful he is and using kind of psychological terminology about his issues or whatever. And so some of you guys asked, did Vanessa Reiser do a letter like that for herself? The answer is no, she didn't. Others asked, why was that letter done? And from what I understand, Louis Ruelas wrote that letter with Vanessa Reiser's help to give to a practitioner of some sort or advisor that would then help him with his issues and sort of to keep him honest and also to kind of help frame name the issues he was suffering from. Vanessa helped him put this letter together so that he could try to get like whatever help he needed to repair the relationship. So that was the purpose of the letter. So it came off as manipulative by some people in their interpretation of it, but I think it was just like a girlfriend or fiance trying to get her boyfriend, who she felt had all these issues, to clearly write down his behavior and what she thought it was based on her professional training to try to get some sort of help to kind of fix it, is the bottom line. And so I don't think it was, sinister or anything like that. I think it was just kind of a couple trying to do their own self-help exercise to save the relationship. Because a lot of times with these types of guys, they smash the relationship so badly that they have to try to make amends with the women. I'll give you this much money so I'll never cheat on you again. Or I'll put this in writing for you so that I mean it this time. Or I'll give you this, heirloom of my mother so that, if I do it again, you can punish me by taking it. It's that kind of thing. And so I think this was part of that. Okay, hope that helps. All right, let's move on. I'm so sick of talking about Teresa and Louis Ruelas. I hope they're having fun in Greece. Oh, by the way, before I get into the second part of the show, which I want to do now, I want to tell you guys that next weekend's podcast is not coming out on Sunday. It's coming out on Tuesday. And the reason for that is that Jacqueline, Larita, and I are going to watch the watch party on Sunday night. And then we're going to record Monday morning. And I need time to edit the show. So we're going to drop episode 195 on Tuesday in the morning at like 7 a.m. And that'll be a great show. It'll be worth waiting for. So I don't want you guys to get nervous if it doesn't show up like it normally does. That's why. Also, I wanted to tell you guys that Monday I'm doing a live with Kim D to talk about her book, which I read, which was excellent. Her book, of course, My Life with the Big Boys. By the time you hear this show, you'll have noticed that in the Patreon, I did a whole confessional video about the highlights of the book to kind of get everybody prepared for Monday's show to really enjoy it with Kim. We'll, of course, talk about other things, too, to do with New Jersey, like, of course, the finale, which is airing tonight, August 4th. So that'll also be happening on Monday's show. It should be a whopper. I'm really excited. I hope you'll come. Again, that's going to be under the live tab on my YouTube channel, Decadish Dana, and you can hit the notify button and it'll tell you when we go live, but it's scheduled for 1 p.m. EST, and that's 10 a.m. PST. So I hope you'll join us. So without further ado, let's bring Cindy into the show from DNA Mystery Solver. So how are you, Cindy?
I'm good. How are you?
So I want you to know that a patron reached out to me and said she was a huge fan of your TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to pitch your TikTok?
Sure. My TikTok is at DNA Mystery Solver. Yeah, I do videos on genealogy, DNA related things, serial killer connections, things like that. So people seem to like it.
I saw that you have very popular videos to do with quite a few different subject matters, but I did notice that serial killers was very popular, that they all seem to come from the same Mayflower guy, which is just...
Yeah, a lot of them do. And I have a podcast on that, which launches this Wednesday called Deadly Root.
Ooh, I love it.
That's partnering with Partners in True Crime. So they have a website, partnersintruecrime.com, or you can find them on YouTube. And then you guys can watch if your follower listeners want to have a listen to that, that's what it'll be on.
Are you going to cover your position on whether you think it's nature or nurture?
I actually solved it. I figure what I know, what their connection is altogether. And I talk about that on my podcast, what it is that's attracting like all these killers to one ancestor. So
I was branching out. That's when the cannibalism started, eating of the heart and the arm muscle. It was a way of making me feel that they were a part of me. At first it was just curiosity, and then it became compulsive. Then I tried to keep the person alive by inducing a zombie-like state, by injecting first a dilute acid solution into their brain or hot water. And it never did completely work.
Could someone like you be stopped? Could you be helped?
No, I was dead set on going with this compulsion. It was the only thing that gave me any satisfaction.
Oh, it's so exciting. All right, cool. Well, you guys, if you want to know the answer to nature versus nurture, check out Cindy's podcast. So I reached out because I wanted to know, Cindy, if you could help me kind of learn more about genealogy, maybe help me with my own family. And also, I know you know some things about like the Hiltons and some other famous people that you could probably share on the show today. So I thought you might have some fun sharing some of that intel with us.
For sure.
You know lots of stuff?
I know lots of stuff. I know I learned stuff about you too. That was fun.
Oh boy, I'm really scared. So you guys, before we get going, let me tell you that I sent some information to Cindy and she was like, you have some, interesting people in your genealogy. And she goes, do you want me to tell you who they are? And I said, no, I want to be surprised with the patrons, no matter what it is, good or bad. And so I thought that would be way more fun. So give it to me. Go ahead, Cindy. Give it to me straight. Give it to us.
Okay, so I'm going to save the good one. So do you know you're related to Stephen King? The author?
No way.
You are. You are. It's crazy.
For those of you who don't know who Stephen King is, he's a hugely famous American author that focuses on suspense, crime, science fiction, mystery, and horror. And he's behind classic fiction horror stories like Carrie, The Shining, The Dead Zone, Christine, Stand By Me, which is one of my favorite movies of all time about, three kids coming of age and they are seeking out a dead kid's body and sort of how this brings them together and they have all these epiphanies along the way. Misery, Shawshank Redemption, Dolores Claiborne, The Green Mile, and It. And I mean, for me to be related to him is amazing. And he was born in Maine, so that's interesting. And I do have family in Maine, so. Ooh.
So he's your 9th cousin, so 3 times removed. The removed thing is just, it's an age gap. So the ancestor that you share is like his 9th great-grandfather. It's the one you share. So depending on how many people got married and had babies in there, that's the removed part. So the closest person to the ancestor gives you like the 9th. The removed means that there's a few generations between you and them,
Yeah.
It's not because it's like all distant and weird. It is a direct, you guys share one ancestor.
That's awesome. That makes so much sense that I'm related.
Are you into writing?
Well, I'm into storytelling.
Right, which makes sense because, the woman who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, Harper Lee, you're related to her too.
Now, what's really weird about at this point in the interview with Cindy is that, Stephen King has made some stories and movies that are like my favorite of all time. And I'm obsessed with some of the themes in these movies. As a kid, I watched some of them over and over and over again, and they really were haunting to me, which I wonder if there's some sort of genetic connection to some of his story themes. And then I was all the more shocked to find out that I have a genealogy connection to Harper Lee, because To Kill a Mockingbird was one of the few novels that I read and really was impacted so greatly by its social message, that and Flannery O'Connor books, because I love allegorical stories. But To Kill a Mockingbird is an American classic. It won a Pulitzer Prize. And it's based on Lee's observations of her family, her neighbors, and an event that occurs near her hometown in Monroeville, Alabama in 1936 when she's 10 years old. Now, this book covers racial injustice, destruction of innocence. It also involves courage, compassion, gender roles, difficult problems that the Deep South were dealing with. Anyway, the story is really touching and super impactful because it centers around Judge Taylor, who appoints a lawyer who's white, Atticus, to defend Tom Robinson, who's a black man, and he's been accused of raping a white woman, a young white woman named Mayella Ewell. And the town of Macomb is extremely racist, and the citizens disapprove of Atticus as a white man and a great attorney agreeing to defend Tom and fighting for him and his freedom because he doesn't believe that he did it. And Atticus's children, Jem and Scout, who you get to know a lot in the book, they're made fun of ruthlessly by the children in the town because their father is standing up and representing a black man in this trial. And at a certain point, this book has this moment, you just feel so much anxiety because a group of men are intent in the town on lynching Tom, Atticus's client, before his trial. And Atticus stands in between the white racist men that want to lynch Tom and Tom. And just as these men are about to push through Atticus or hurt him to get to Tom, the three children that are Atticus's kids show up, and one of them, Scout, who's basically Harper Lee, starts to speak to one of the men in the mob who is a father of one of the kids in her class. And by being a child to him, he remembers that he's doing something really horrific, and he snaps out of the mob mentality, and he helps get the mob to disperse and go away, and Tom is saved. Because the children, in a sense, remind the men of their morality, and it kills the hate for a minute long enough for them to go away. Now, what's horrific is these people that are like from this white trash family in town, they lied to cause this guy Tom a problem because he rejected the white girl's advances. And during this period, to be white and rejected by a black man was deemed, I don't know, horrific or whatever. So they lie on the stand. And because the town is so racist, they convict Tom, the character, for the rape. The children witness the trial and they are shaken because it's the first time they realize that injustice is a real thing in our world and things don't work the way that they should. Atticus believes that he can get the verdict overturned, but before he gets a chance to do it, Tom is shot and killed while trying to escape from prison. Anyway, there's more to this story. The kids end up getting attacked by this family, and then a man whose name is Boo, you find out more about him later. He saves the children's lives in this altercation, and in a way, justice is not done again, but in a more positive way. Boo, the gentleman who saves the kids, is freed by the sheriff because he decides to say that the person who attacked the kids fell on his own knife. But, there's kind of proof that one of the kids might have stabbed him. But because Boo is black, they are like worried that he'll be lynched or not get a fair trial. So the sheriff just lets it go. So it's kind of another injustice. But it's a lot of social discussion about very difficult issues during a really hot time period, which was, of course, the 1960s. So, wow, I am so honored. Just saying. This one made sense to me because my family, when they are activated, are huge advocates for people.
So I was like, it must be something to do with storytelling.
It's crazy because actually that makes so much sense because also, if you think about To Kill a Mockingbird, it's really a statement about social issues at the time.
Right.
And to get people to contemplate social change that at that time was very controversial and do some introspection. And I think all of my shows, even though I cover reality TV and, curses and all these things, they actually are designed to make people think and broaden their horizons about like how they feel about things, and to also be more open-minded about listening to other people's thoughts and opinions and sort of brainstorm with people versus like making people think a certain way.
Right. But interestingly, it gets better. So you're also related to Princess Diana.
Oh my God, you've got to be kidding. Oh my God.
I'm not. She's your 12th cousin, twice removed. So again, there's that whole distance between you guys are in two different generations.
Oh my God. Oh my, wait, stop. That's a pause. Yes. We need a moment here for that because, okay. So
and she was about social justice and all that, was she not?
Yes. That's what I was just going to say. This is really crazy because she's empathetic. I actually have covered Princess Diana at great lengths in the Dishing Drama Dana Patreon. And one of my sort of connections with doing deep dives about Diana was that she kind of learned very young. She had this wild great grandmother out of the US that really paved the way for her to be kind of the way that her and almost Prince Harry have that edge to them, where they're like, screw the system, and like they follow everything perfectly up to a point and then they rebel. And I see that quality in myself, you know, where I did everything in my life so perfect. And I followed like the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs model, you know, where I was like, singing to birds and all this stuff. And the world destroyed me, you know, and then I ended up sort of rebelling against it, kind of like the end of Diana's life. And I really relate to her story because my mom died in a car accident when I was young.
Oh my God, that's true.
I can't believe it.
So you will find when you build somebody's tree, you'll notice patterns, similarities in the people, like how the serial killers are related to each other. Not everybody has that going for them. You know what I mean? Some people, it's like a success gene, and it's very prevalent in their trees. Like people that are nurses will find a lot of doctors at the end of their line, like around the 1600s in their trees, that they descend from a bunch of doctors. And these are people that are out there helping and being nurses or doctors themselves. And somebody who is like an Olympian will have ties to like other incredibly successful people. It's something in your DNA. Like it didn't start with you. There's actually a book called It Didn't Start With You. So if you think this is all you, it's not. It's like you're a culmination of all your ancestors, and that matters. So your genes matter. It took a special set of people to make you specifically. So yeah, I mean, it's very, very interesting stuff when you start looking at people's family trees. And so are you ready for more?
Oh my God, there's more people. Okay, just really quickly, can you remind everyone at this point, what is genealogy? It's different than DNA. Like, I think people in our current day get confused. So go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, I'm a genetic genealogist. So my actual specialty is solving like who's your daddy mysteries, finding biological parents for adoptees, biological grandparents, helping them break through a brick wall in their family tree by using their DNA and their DNA matches. So that's how they find serial killers. The serial killer doesn't have to have his DNA in there. It's familial DNA. As I said, your ancestors are in you. So, like, you know, your people don't have to have done it. They've got descendants that did their DNA. And by matching those up, you can actually find a common ancestor by the amount of DNA you share with them. Regular genealogy is just using records, birth, marriage, and death to find, like, so you'll have your ancestor written in, you'll look for birth, marriage, and death to find out who their parents were, etc. And then you can build a family tree. There are lots of sites that you can do it on, Ancestry. There are apps that you can use. I like Ancestry, it's fine. And then you get records, and you can also find free records on familysearch.org. And you can look for these records, and you can find information about your people. You can find census records, you can find prison records. There's all sorts of records you can find online. So yeah, it's actually very interesting.
So who else you got?
All right. So you ready for this one? Because this was the one that I was like, oh my God, I got to tell you this.
Oh no.
So Thomas Jefferson's grandfather, you descend from him. So he is your first cousin, Thomas Jefferson, the president.
You guys, I'm dying because you know how obsessed I am with the founding fathers. So to find out that my genealogy includes Thomas Jefferson is incredible. Thomas Jefferson, of course, is the third president of the United States. He served from 1801 to 1809. He also served under Washington, and he's the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. Oh, it's so... This is allegorical, actually, and it might explain my obsession with political science. So very interesting for sure.
Thomas Jefferson?
Yeah, he's your first cousin, 8 times removed. And through that ancestor that you also related to, Dakota and Elle Fanning.
No way.
Right.
Well, now this part explains why my grandmother used to call me Sandra Bernhardt when I was little. I'm not going to tell you who she is. Google it. But what's funny is when I looked up Dakota Fanning and Elle Fanning, I know that they're famous actresses, obviously. But they also had an article in People magazine that talked about how they were related to royal ancestry. It says Ancestry.com researchers found historical documents, including census, birth, and death records. This is for Dakota and Elle Fanning, that the sisters are actually the 22nd great-granddaughters of King Edward III. They're related to the royal family through their mother, Heather Joy Arrington. This relation also means that the Fanning sisters are 21st cousins of Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales. Kate's mother, Carol Middleton, is a great-granddaughter of Edward III as well. So that's interesting that they did their own genealogy on people, but I thought I'd share that since we're talking about it.
That's what I got for you on yours. And you're not related to any killers. Congratulations.
I'm not related to any murderers or killers.
No, so you're probably a good person.
I try. I really try.
So I thought that was cool. And Thomas Jefferson's grandfather's also named Thomas Jefferson. So you descend from Thomas Jefferson, just not the guy, but his grandfather.
So I descend from Thomas Jefferson's granddad, who's also named Thomas Jefferson.
He's your first cousin. Thomas Jefferson, the president, was your first cousin. So it's because it's his grandfather. You see that first cousin? If you lived in his time, you guys would have been even Stephen first cousins. But because he lived a long time ago, you're 8 times removed. You know that's how that
I can't
works.
get over this. I'm so excited. I mean, that honestly, that couldn't be any better for me, unless it was like Abe Lincoln. Maybe Abe Lincoln was the only person.
No, he's not. So you have some colonial roots. You have some Virginia roots in. You have some recent Ireland as well. And your people might have been in Massachusetts for a while, but before that, they were down south. And then before that, so you get some South Carolina, you got some Virginia, Tennessee, things like that. But actually, your people were in Maryland. So I find that it's more like Pennsylvania, Maryland, that actually settled the North Carolina, South Carolina region. So your people were actually up in Maryland. So you have some deep Maryland roots. You've got Illinois.
There's Illinois.
Italy, of course, Italian. You got all that Italian on mom's side.
Oh, yeah. Let me ask you that. Is this mainly on the Wilkie side or the...
Yeah, all those connections and celebs and stuff. That's your dad's side. Your mom's side is full-blown Italian. Yeah, mommy was super duper second generation Italian.
Yeah, because my grandmother was born in the US, but her mom was born in Italy.
Right. All of them. All of her, like, so your mom's grandparents, all 4 of them were born in Italy.
Anybody good on that side, or we were all just like poor Italians?
I mean, there's probably some mafia juice in there. I mean, it's Italian. Come on, from the region that's like the front ankle of the boot, basically, one of the regions that I checked. So it's more southern Italy. And with that, you can only go so far into Italy or into Germany or once you get outside the country with your records, like Scotland and Ireland, you literally have to go there and dig through their records. They don't have a lot of online sources.
I see.
To find stuff. So while you can go a few generations if you're lucky into the country, that's about it. So you won't really find those familial connections unless you've got DNA to match it up. Like a lot of you asked me to look into the Housewives of New Jersey, I believe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Italian there, but I have some notes on that. But
okay, enough about me. I'm still dying over Princess Diana. I need a moment. I did ask if you would give us, since we've covered, the Hilton family a lot, Paris Hilton especially. I grew up with Paris Hilton in LA when she was around during that period. So I was curious, what do you got on Paris Hilton, Hilton's, whatever? Let me have it.
So I know about her mom. Her mom's like Italian and I believe Irish, if I recall. So with that, obviously, we're not going to find those familial connections. But Paris Hilton, actually, on her father's side, she's related to Jim Morrison of The Doors.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Go ahead.
Because I think she would try to do a music career or something.
She did. I was
like, yeah. So that, you see what I mean? How you got that storytelling gene? She actually has like a rock gene in her, which is kind of funny. But interestingly, she's also descendant of King Edward I, King Henry III, and King Henry VIII.
That also makes a lot of sense.
Right.
I mean, it's interesting because Kathy Hilton, who I guess you couldn't necessarily find a lot on, she loves to sing. Mm-hmm. And her whole mother's side loves to sing. Yeah. So Kathy Hilton's mom, okay, they call her Big Kathy. Mm-hmm. She was kind of interested in the gangster type. But for her daughter, she wanted royalty. So Big Kathy tried to marry her into all of her daughters, actually. Kyle Richards from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Kim Richards from Witch Mountain. And then Kathy Hilton, Paris's mom, tried to marry them off to really eligible bachelors like you would
Right.
royalty. And then Rick Hilton is kind of from American royalty.
Right.
And it's shocking that he also has a musical gene because this is on the dad's side.
Yeah.
So the Doors, Jim Morrison, that would give another musical component that we wouldn't normally gather that influenced Paris. So we're thinking it all comes from her mom's side, but in
Right.
reality, it also comes from her dad's side.
Yeah. It's interesting how DNA works, right? So you asked me to look into Kyle Richards, her half sister, and it's mostly Irish. Like that's what she's got. So like recent Irish. So there's no familial connections. And once you get to Ireland, you have to dig through the records literally in Ireland, or you're not going to find anything. So I wasn't able to find any connections for her.
Okay. And Kim would be the same because she's got the same Richards.
There's a few people I wasn't able to do a lot on. You asked me to look into Dorit Kemsley, and her dad's Israeli and her mom was Moroccan. That's so there's nothing I can do with that. Now we can do Andy Cohen if you want.
Oh my God, Andy Cohen, Andy Cohen.
Okay, so let's do Andy Cohen. But he's got on his father's side, he's got Russia and Lithuania. He's got Poland and Hungary on his mother's side. But so obviously I can't find much. But what I did notice was that from the Austro-Hungarian Empire, or the region anyway, that's where his mom's line comes from. And I've been doing this thing on Dracula lately because King Charles actually descends from Vlad the Impaler 4 times. And the fact that his line went through Hungary, I started digging into it. A lot of the Kingdom of Hungary encapsulated what is now Romania. So the fact that he has that, if a person could keep going on his lines, I wonder if maybe he descends from Vlad the Impaler or is related to Dracula in some way. I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh my God. Can you guys imagine Andy Cohen's related to Dracula?
I think it was cool. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Just because I was recently looking into that and I was like, oh, I wonder if you have proven royal lineage or higher society nobility, those lines, the records tend to be there, no problem, because they kept good records for royalty. But for us paupers, it's like there's not much, not much you can find online. Like, nah, you're just a peasant. We don't want to keep track of your records. So you asked me to look into Melissa Gorga and Teresa Giudice.
Giudice.
Now, both of them are full-blown Italian. So Melissa is third generation American and Teresa is first generation American. What I noticed with them, because you said that they have kind of a hate relationship or a bickering, what I think it actually is.
For the full scoop, join the Dishing Drama Dana Patreon. The link is in this audio description. It's only $6 a month and you'll get the best information and tea about the things you care about and even the things you don't know you care about. What are you waiting for?